All right, let's see if we can do a quick video here. This is there was a Facebook post for someone saying, I'd like to hire somebody to connect WooCommerce with Zoho, and I don't have a lot of money. So I thought, well, might as well show Zoho Flow, and there was a response to that too. I'll see if I can put a link in the description below to that post so you can see what the responses were. Everybody obviously saying, oh, I can help you, I can help you. I'm like, well, we already did this for a client, so might as well just show it and see if that's helpful or not. So one of the responses was you could just do this in Zoho Flow, give it a shot, or something like that. And I'm like, I agree. But the person wasn't really helpful with like how to do it. So I thought, well, we created this, so might as well just share it. This is actually one of our clients, what we put together for them. So Zoho Flow is, if you've used Zapier or Zapier, depends on who you are and how you pronounce that, it's a way of computers talking to computers or apps talking to apps. And so many times with people, they buy all these different apps and try to connect them together, and they'll use that product to do it. Well, Zoho has native connections between their 50 plus different apps, but sometimes you have to reach out. So in this case, this client used WooCommerce instead of Zoho Commerce. So we're able to still pull it in, that information into Zoho. So I wanted to share this. So let's see. This is the structure of it. So Builder, if you're not familiar with Flow, you can go to flow.zoho.com and you just create a new flow. So you just go over here and say create flow. You can name it. You choose a folder. So they have folders you can put together and then create. And what will happen is like this one here, it'll put you into this page here, which is what do you want to do with it? I mean, you actually have some options. So let me do this. Let me back up a little bit here. Let's go back. Let's go create flow, new, just so you can see what this looks like. So you go create, and then it's going to say, what do you want to do as the trigger for this flow? If I could play Jeopardy here, I'll see if I can overlay Jeopardy music because this is taking way too long. This is awkward. Yep. All right, I might come back to this. This should be instantaneous. Okay, well, let's go ahead and stop that. And we'll just go right into, oh, so it did create it. There you go. Somehow it just, a little hiccup. And it's hung up again. All right, isn't this magical, as it said in Austin Powers? All right, let's try this one. Okay, so this is the one that we have actively working. We selected WooCommerce as the trigger. So you have a choice of, it can be a webhook, it can be pick an app. We'll go back into that one, we'll check it out. So this we just said, let's create a connection to WooCommerce. Since we had already set it up, let me go back to show you where that connection would be in settings, connections. So this is the connection that we did. If we wanted to create a connection, so this is kind of what it would look like when you create a new flow, is you would have an option to pick an app, and this is where you would find your app. So I can start typing Woo, and you can see WooCommerce, next, and you can see, you can put in the connection name, and then you have your consumer key and your consumer secret, and you're like, I don't know what the hell those things are. Is you can say refer to documentation. It's going to take you to the WooCommerce page, and you can get where you can dig that stuff up. Okay, but we'd already created the connection. I don't know why we called it Z Inventory REST API. That's kind of silly. It should have just been WooCommerce or something, but regardless, our team wrote that. Okay, so let's go back to flows and this one here, okay, and builder. So now we say, okay, we've got that connection to WooCommerce. That's what this should have been, just WooCommerce, but now it says Z Inventory. What do we want to call the variable? We're going to call it new order because we like that band. All right, and then so what happens is it's going to pull a payload in. So what you do is you say over here in apps is you're going to say inventory, Zoho Inventory. Okay, so we used Zoho Inventory for this because this particular client actually was going to pick, pack, and ship using Zoho. So you could just do this with Invoice if you want to just, you're going to do all that stuff in WooCommerce, is that you could just say, well, I want to create an invoice that's marked as paid because they placed the order online, you could do books, you could do invoice. Again, when I say books and invoice, I mean Zoho books, Zoho invoice. You could have done that, but we did inventory, and we created a sales order because, again, the sales order in Zoho Inventory allows you to say, okay, it's an open sales order. You need to pick for it, you need to pack it, and you need to ship it. So that's why we did sales order, in case you're wondering. So what you do is you just start typing in inventory. It's going to click, you have Zoho Inventory, and you can see what different things you can do here. You can create an invoice, you can create a sales order, all kinds of cool stuff you can do here. So go check that out. So that's what we did here, is we said, okay, inventory, and we're going to look first for a contact. We're going to try to find if there's a contact we already have in the system, so that way we can not just create a new person, is we'd use the same person and say they've added another order to their record. And so that's what this step is for. So we're going to search by email address. So if I go back again and I look at Zoho Inventory, fetch, I think it's going to probably be fetch customer is what we're doing. If I look at this, fetch contact person. Okay, fetches details of an existing contact person. So if I go back here again and I look, there it is, fetch contact person. That's what we did. You just drag and drop it over here. So you can see how it's not going to make sense right now because it says on error, and we're not going to do that. But that's what this one is. It's fetching clearly it says it right there, fetch contact person. Okay, you pick the organization. This is the organization ID. We're going to search by the email address, and you're like, what's the new order billing email? So if you remember, new order is the WooCommerce response. So what's cool is you can click on this. It'll show you all the elements that are sent from WooCommerce to Zoho Flow that you can grab. So you have customer ID, billing address, date modified, discount. You've got line items in here, which we'll cover in just a moment. Shipping address, total, tax, all that stuff. Okay, so you can pick all that stuff. So what we said is, I think we picked the billing email, right? So up here, every order is going to have a billing email address. And so that's what this is. Okay, so that's what we did. And so what we're doing is we're saying, let's see if we can find a match in our system. And that's what this is. It's a decision. So this, on the left-hand side, you see apps, where we were just at, and then you have logic. So logic is, you can do notifications, like send an email that a new order came in. You can do flow control, which is a decision, delay, set variable. Right here is a decision. And so what that is, it's going to look, let me see here. So it's going to say, is there a contact person ID? Is it not null? Did it find something? So because it comes from the previous one, this fetch contact person, if the response is, okay, yeah, there is a customer ID that we found, then go do this thing onto the right. Go do this, which is fetch the actual customer, then create the sales order, and then add the lines to the sales order. If not, then you're going to check the company name. So what we did here, if you look at logic, there's custom functions. That's what these little F's are custom functions. And so you can say, here's check company name. So again, if it didn't find a person by the email, it would look for a company name. Okay, so check the company name. Some simple code that says bring in C, FN, and LN. I'll show you that in a sec. So this is really company name. FN is the first name. LN is the last name that'll come in. So if the company name is blank, then feed me the first name and the last name. Else return the company name. Because the customers that you have in books, you need to have a customer name, an account name, basically. So what we're saying is, if there's no customer name, company name, then just put it in the person's name. So that'll be the company name. Then you still have the contact person underneath it, as you can see here. Okay, so we got that. That's creating the customer then. Let's look at this. So you're probably wondering, where did I get that C, the FN, and the LN? As you can see here, that new order, right here again, this part, is I can say, okay, let's get the billing company right here, if that's filled in. The first name is going to be the billing first name and the last name. So that's what all those things are. Okay. All right, so you're going to create a customer because, again, it didn't find a match, so it's going to create a customer, which is pretty straightforward. Again, go faster, please. Okay, so organization is the implant evolution. That's the organization for the books account. And you go through and you can see that we've got first name, last name, company name, display name, right? So it's all pulling from the new order, right? The check company name, again, that's this piece right here. So as you went through that flow, it's going to respond with that return thing. So return either the name or return the company. That's what that is. Hope that helps. Okay, create the contact person. So same thing is we're going to say, okay, the contact ID, create customer for. So because we created the customer, that's the account, be it a company name or the person's name, that's the customer. That's who it's going to be. This contact person is going to be under that. You have first name, last name, email address, and phone number. That's going to create the account. Then we're going to create the sales order. So the creating sales order basically are the same here. The only difference, again, between the little branching here is that this found the matching customer. So it's just going to fetch the customer. So it's going to take the contact ID based on the fetch contact person. That's what it's going to do. It automatically then, because it's through that contact person, it's going to associate it with that customer. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so now we're going to create the sales order. These two are basically going to be the same. It's just this sales order is going to be tied to this newly created contact person. This sales order is going to be tied to the one that was found. So at this point, I can more or less go into either one of these, and they're going to look the same, with the exception of, again, this sales order is going to get this customer ID. This sales order is going to get this customer ID to associate it with. Okay, so we create the sales order. So again, to get to this, that little, like this, whatever that looks like, a pallet jack or something like that, is just going to be over here in apps. If you go into inventory and you drag over create sales order. So if you look at, you can see create credit note, create customer, create sales order. So you just drag that and put it over here. And then here's your inputs, your variables that you're going to put in there. Customer ID, you can see here, use a custom value. So there's customers in here, but we're not going to hard code in the customer. We don't want that. We want it based on what the order was. And so that contact ID, again, is this fetch customer, the fetch contact person. That's what it's going to be. So you can see contact ID, contact person ID. So the contact ID is that customer we created. The contact person is the contact person ID, which is this one here. And again, because we found it, that's where you fetched it and found it. And then if you go through here, it's pretty self-explanatory to go through and create the sales order. The next thing is this piece here, which is a function, because you have the ability in create sales order to, let me see if it's down here. Shipment date, payment terms, salesperson, price book, item ID. Okay, so you can see custom value for item ID. The downside of using Flow is you can't do really line items separately. So this is basically if you have one line item, that's all it would plug in here. You'd have one. If somebody's ordering one, that's not really real. I mean, nobody's going to really just order one thing. I mean, it could, for sure, but you probably want people ordering more than one thing. So that's why we create this add lines to sales order. So now this is a special function to reach into. If I go here again and I look at order created, what it's going to do is, you see this thing here, it says string line items. That is actually, there's stuff underneath that. It's just not showing it. So the line items would be several rows potentially. It could be one row, it could be multiple rows inside that, but you don't see it. And so what we do is we create this function, which in logic here, custom functions, add lines to sales order. This is where it gets funky for you guys. Is the map is going to be, and the sales ID. So the sales ID is a sales order. The map is that list thing. So let me click here so you can see you can see sales order ID and then line items. So what I did is I went here, or what we did. I can't take all the credit. I think my team put this together. Line items. So that's this piece here is the map, and sales ID is the sales order ID, which is, where is that? Probably this, the order ID. Oh, no, it's not. I lied. I don't like lying. Okay, it is this, the sales order ID here. So create sales order ID. Where are you? Well, it's in here somewhere. There we go, sales order ID. That's what I used. Okay, so that's the create sales order, add lines. Let's go back to what that looks like. Add lines to sales order. So the map is, again, that list. This is the sales order ID. And then it's saying for each record in the map, so each line, could be 1, could be 10, is you're grabbing these things. So you don't even see those things in Zoho Flow, but we did we pulled the information, and we're able to see what was inside there. And so we could see, here's the SKU, here's the quantity, here's the price, here's the total. And then you can see here in inventory, we're looking to get the items. This is the org ID. But what products do we have in Zoho Inventory that match that thing? And we're pulling the map in. We're saying the SKU, that's what that is, get the records. And then we say, okay, what's the actual item ID in Zoho? Not the one that's in WooCommerce, but the one that matches in Zoho. That's the item ID. Get the first one. That's what get 0 is. Get the one that came back. And then you say, okay, we're going to now place the product, the item ID, the quantity, the rate, the item total. And then we're going to put that, we're going to update the sales order, because we have the sales order that we've already created. We're going to add the line items to that sales order. And then the info is just a response knowing that it worked. So that's really all there is to it. You just make sure that your products that you have in WooCommerce match what you have. I mean, there's more to this. We could say anytime a product is created in Zoho or in WooCommerce, you can make sure that one is created in the other app. That's not in this video. But you could, just make sure that your items match so that you can create this. You can create a sales order, and you can create the line items for that sales order. In Zoho Inventory, it becomes a sales order for that customer. In Zoho CRM, because CRM is connected to inventory, you're going to be able to see all the sales orders for that particular customer or that person. And so everything's integrated here, and it all came through WooCommerce. And I know we spent a bit of time here going through this flow, but hopefully this is helpful, that hundreds of people or thousands of people can start using WooCommerce and Zoho Inventory, Zoho CRM. I think that's it. Good luck. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or anything. I'm happy to help you out. This is David Edkins with the Edkins Group via Zoho Academy to help as many people out there as possible. Feel free to look in the description. You can see what we do, a link to the Edkins Group website. If you need some personalized one-on-one help, glad to help you out. Reasonably priced because we're blended. We're a worldwide company, global company, so we have people all around the world. I can personally help you. We got people on our team help you. Feel free to click that link and set up a meeting. Otherwise, I hope this was helpful. Let me know it was helpful. Put a thumbs up, subscribe, like, all that stuff that people say to do. And have a great day.